Well, welcome back for our final session where we're looking at Ipswich. I apologise, you appear to have had two competing pianists during that last clip. We only played one of them, so I don't know where the other one came from, but never mind. We'll find him, don't you worry. But now we are going to show you around Ipswich, and I'm going to leave you in the capable hands for that of Trevor, our centre manager, and Sheldon, our apprentice. And we congratulate Sheldon on having passed all his level 2 apprenticeship exams last week with a distinction. So we're thrilled as he moves on now to the more technical and advanced level 3. But now I'm going to hand over to Trevor to continue the tour of the Refurbishment Centre here in Ipswich. Trevor.
Good morning, everybody, and I'd like to welcome you here this morning. I'm going to give you a bit of a tour around. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Trevor Maynard. It's been my pleasure to work at TWAM for the last 3 years, and it has been a real pleasure. I'm going to take you through a virtual tour and try and fill you in on some different things we do here. I'll be handing over to Sheldon at one stage. He'll be breaking down some, looking at some refurbishment for you. Okay, so opening up here, this is the goods in yard. Which you can see, where all the tools will come in via our own van network and from our collectors. They'll come into here and then they'll go into a sorting area. So this container, this third container, as you see, we've actually got 3 containers here now. It's sort of grown. So when we had the lockdown period last year, everybody, and I mean everybody, seemed to clear their sheds out. So we had a real rush on when we got back. It's a brilliant problem to have, but we just didn't have anywhere to put the stuff. So Mike very kindly got us a third container. And I'm really pleased to say that that third container now has been emptied of those goods and has now been filled with petrol tools and things that are ready and refurbished and locked away safely for going out on the containers. And then if you look just further down the side here, so that third container at the back, you'll see there's a lot of agricultural tools there, a lot of gardening tools. That third container is used for painting and refurbishing of those tools. And all the rooms you see in the guttering, all that has been done by volunteers for us. Volunteers really are the lifeblood of TWAM, and you'll see electrics have been put in by competent electricians. It's just incredible how volunteers support us. All right, so if you want to follow me, there's going to be a lot of following me today. I'll take you into the actual refurbishment centre. So what you can see, looking over here, is as you can see, quite a lot of stuff. At the moment, we have got a lot of stuff coming in. The collectors are all very kindly out there getting the stuff in for us. So this is the goods in area. When the items all come in, we then, the team of volunteers will then split the stuff up and put it into the respective areas. So this pallet over here, you can see, is Housley pallet. They make plumbers kits and they make motor mechanics kits. So those particular type of tools will be put into that area, and then every 2 weeks we send a pallet or pallet and a half over, and we get kits back, which is brilliant. And over at the back, this pallet here is for carpentry tools. So our carpentry tool teams will take from those pallets, and we're constantly filling them up all the time as well. Very, very busy area. This is actually quite a true reflection of how it is normally. Last week in one day we had 4 vans, and it's a good problem to have. The more stuff we get in, if we didn't have any stuff in, we wouldn't have anything to shift. So it's a really good thing. So I'm going to move you on now. We're going to move around a tour around the centre and into the refurbishment area as well. So one thing I'd like to highlight to you there is a little while ago, how amazing the response has been. We got a little bit short of sewing machines. When I joined here, I've never seen so many sewing machines in my life. We used to have around about 700 or 800 sitting on the shelves. But with the lockdown last year, we used a lot of our supplies. We used a lot of our backup. So we got a bit short. We've now got quite a lot of refurbished machines, not so many unrefurbished machines. But as you can see, we've got quite a lot of machines coming in now from all around the country. Yeah, so if you want to follow me, we'll go around into the refurbishment area. Okay, so this is the power tool section. All our tools that come in here, we get quite a lot of power tools. We're getting loads at the moment, which is really, really good. What the guys here will do is they will do a full check of the item, check inside the plug, check it's wired properly, replace any guards that are needed. We don't send anything out that hasn't been checked over fully, new blades fitted, pat tested, ready for the export. And we make sure everything is as safe as possible. We don't send anything without any guards, so that it's fully safe. We have a team. I have 5 days a week here. I have people working in this area, and you can see some of the stuff we've got here from the larger sort of circular saws. I've got 2 here, air extraction unit. I've got a MIG welder over there as well, down to battery drills, and we send out an awful lot of tools. So when you have a workshop that's sent out for you, a mechanics workshop, or a country workshop, you'll have 8 large power tools. They can be as big as this. And you can also have a box, or we'll have a box that will have smaller power tools in it, sanders, drills, and those sort of things. So we really do send a lot of stuff out, and we try and really get people set up properly. Okay, if you want to follow me on. So this is the sewing machine area, and this has grown quite a lot. We've made it a lot bigger. We have quite a few people working here. Sewing machines are one of our greatest exports. We probably send between 200 and 300 per container. Obviously, someone can do so much with a sewing machine when they're making their own garments. And I've got some examples here of the type that we send out. So we have a manual sewing machine, very popular in areas obviously of no electricity. And we have an electric sewing machine, and we have treadles. Treadles are really popular, really good hard-working machines. Very old, a lot of them over 100 years, but they get refurbished and they go out and they're repurposed again. And there, as you can see, is a treadle sewing machine that's ready to go on the next load, to Congo. And this is the sort of contents you'll get within a machine. So the first thing we send out, really important, is a sewing machine maintenance guide. So we want these machines to last on. We need the care put into keeping them going. We don't want them to fail. So we give a bit of guidance just to help people when they've got them here and maintaining the machines. And this is a sewing kit that will go in with every machine. The bag, made by volunteers. As you can see, lovely bag there. And then you can see some of the items. Show those here. We've got scissors, buttons, and I'll show you where they're sorted upstairs. So it's not just a case of sending out a machine. We need to send someone the actual equipment, the material and the items to do it. It's the same with woodworking kits and carpentry kits. We send out nuts, bolts, screws, hinges and bits like that to help people so that they've got the stuff to use for their initial work, and then they can then afford to buy the stuff afterwards, the nails and the bits they need. So we try and make sure we always send stuff out. So again, there's no little bag there, and you can see some of the items there, the different tape and the pins and different items there. It's quite a comprehensive kit really, and poppers and studs. So yeah, so that's the sewing machine area. Okay, we'll follow on. Should have the box I left there, which is brilliant. Okay, so this is these bench areas are multi-use really. So we make carpentry kits here at certain times of the day, certain times of the week. We refurbish devices here, and Sheldon will show you some examples of refurbished devices a little bit later. Over here, we have electrical items for the electrical kits. We send out electricians kits as well. The other side of the bench, we have a husband and wife team who do drill sharpening. We send a lot of drills out, quite a lot of drills. So the benches are sort of used and multi-purpose depending what day of the week and what volunteers are in. We sort saws here, so we send out lots of saws packs. Where there is the older saws, like the really classic saw like that, getting rarer now. The quality of tools is going down. People will go to Wicks and buy a hardpoint saw, and we in fact have had to buy saws to help us when we're short of these sort of things. So what we'll do is we'll do a pack of 3 saws. And we'll probably put in 1 or 2 the old style saws, which are great because you can resharpen them, and a hard point, a good quality hard point. So Mike sourced some really good quality saws that we tested, and we'll put one of those in there as well. So that's the saws packs. We send out lots of those. We've got 50 we're doing at the moment for the Congo, which will go with the carpentry workshops. Over here, we do spoke shaves and planes. I won't go into it too much. Needless to say that Sheldon's going to show you a breakdown of what we do here shortly. Okay, you want to follow me along? So again, this is all carpentry items here along the side. Knitting machines. We were very short on knitting machines until last week, and then the Northern Band came down and gave us 30, which is fantastic. I'll take you into the knitting machine area in a minute, but yeah, quite complicated machines, need a lot of cleaning. And down here we have knitting equipment there. All this is builders equipment for builders kits. We have all our spare grinders, blades and everything else that we get in here as well. They're all checked when they come in, make sure they're safe. And now I'm going to take you upstairs and we'll look at the refurbishment area upstairs in the mezzanine. So this is the haberdashery area. So a lot of ladies work up here sorting out material. They'll basically, we get lots of material in like this. We have old stuff from old shops from 70s and 80s that come in. The ladies will unwrap this. They'll actually fold it and cut it into sections, and they'll make up haberdashery boxes. And in those haberdashery boxes, there'll be buttons, zips, and all sorts of stuff that when they're doing a seamstress in, they can actually make clothes. We have one lady literally that sorts buttons all day, which is here. And we get some fascinating stuff in. We get military buttons and all sorts of stuff like that. Some Olympic buttons we had in once as well. So the ladies in here work up. So again, going back to it again, we send material to go with the sewing machine to help the person, the recipient, be able to make their own clothes, start getting the money in, so they can then afford to buy their clothes, material for themselves the next time. So that's the haberdashery area. Okay, it's my head up here. This is eBay. So we have certain items that wouldn't go to Africa. It's a good way of helping pay for the container costs and the cost of running a charity. Certain items here, we have our own eBay department, and you can see we've got a bipod, and the volunteer who runs this is very, very proud of his 100% rating on eBay. Mind your head. In this section, we pack Bibles. As you can see, we don't have many Bibles at the moment. So if you've got any Bibles you want to send in, please send them in to us. We send New Testaments. We send out quite a lot of Bibles, but we don't need anything really that's too old. So no these and thous, no sort of words for the old King James Version. Anything on from that is fantastic, but obviously it helps with the language of going out to Africa. So Bible packing. And then over here we have the knitting machine area. So these machines have got loads and loads of pins. Basically, very, very complicated in its there, as you can see. We have a team that look after the knitting machines, and they have what's called a sponge bath in them, which is a piece of sponge that cushions it when it's being used. We replace that with a local double glazing firm's insulation tape. So we buy rolls of that, and then we pull out the sponge bath, clean it and put it in. So a lot of cleaning and a lot of work, but these machines are well loved and can generate quite a lot of garments when they're out there. That is the knitting machine area. And moving on. So alongside the knitting area, the electronic knitting area, we also have hand knitting. So we send out knitting needles, imperial and metric. We send out knitting patterns. We send out hand yarn and zips and all this sort of stuff. You can see some of the hand yarn here. It's one of the areas where we've been struggling recently. It's always the way of the charity. Sometimes you ebb and flow with high levels. So many you don't know what to do with it, and other times we don't have enough. But we use a lot of patterns. We send out a lot of information and lots of stuff. So yeah, this is hand knitting. I did actually try for a while helping out here counting knitting needles, but I wasn't very good at it, needless to say. Anyway, can we follow on? Okay, and this is the IT area. I mentioned earlier on about our fantastic volunteers. The electrics were all put in, and I just got them signed off. All the electrics were done by volunteers. The benches were built by volunteers. We need this large area because we will probably have 7 or 8 laptops, PCs being formatted at the same time. if you send a laptop or a PC in here and you need proof that it's been wiped, we can provide a certificate to say it's been wiped. So normally you'll find there's quite a lot of machines on here, all running diagnostics, being formatted, and then we load a basic form of software on there, so they can be used, Excel, that sort of thing on there. And then, yeah, so effectively, we send out quite a few of these, quite a lot of laptops, quite a lot of PCs. But if you want to send them in, they need to be Windows 7 or above to run that software. Anything older than that, I'm afraid it's not compatible. So, but yeah, so that is IT. Follow along. This is my favourite part of the warehouse. And the reason for that is because of this, what you can see now. This is our initial picking, about a week's worth of picking for the Congo. So we're doing at the moment, we're sending our yearly containers to the Congo. That's a 40-foot high cube, just under 80 square metres of tools, probably around about 23 tonnes of tools we're going to put onto this container to send out. And this is an example of the initial part of the picking. So we've actually got the container coming in. We couldn't fit it all in this warehouse because, as you'll see when I show you round, the space for the actual forklift to be able to move gets smaller and smaller and smaller the more we load it. So next week we've got this big, huge container coming in. There'll be nowhere to park outside because we'll be starting to load this and clearing the stuff through. And you can see up here, this is a list to all our volunteers that shows the sort of figures that we're talking about for the Congo here. So we need 186 manual sewing machines, of which we've already done nearly 120, 181 electric sewing machines, 7 treadles. We said about areas where there's no power, very popular machines, very hard wearing. You see working down 92 carpentry kits, you know, and our volunteers are great. They always, you know, they're interested in knowing how many figures, how many they need to get out, and they support us in an amazing way. And you can see we've also got the computers, desktop computers, laptops, and network starter kits. You know, there's some amazing stuff going on there. So that's the list that we use to keep us focused on where we are. And what I wanted to do was just give you an example and show you around some of the items that we're shipping out already on this load. So you can see we've got a variety of different things here. Lots of agricultural tools. These are going to Pastor Adrian Lucania. Yep, so these are packed in packs of 3. They've all been refurbished. So we've got agricultural tools, rotavators, always in demand. Really hard to get hold of. We get quite a few in, but they're really quite tired and maybe past their lifestyle, but this is one that's all ready to go. And this lovely rotavator, with its Honda engine, is going to, yeah, again, same Pastor Adrian Lucania in Mbashi. So, yeah. And then you'll see other items we've got here, car ramps. You never get enough car ramps. If I can't get car ramps, what I'll sometimes do is send a toolbox out specifically with lots of car testing things, so that, because if they've got a welder, they can weld up car ramps, but I'll try and send them extra bits to help people in their workshops. We've got ladders on here, really useful items as well. Lots of petrol strimmers, saws packs. I mentioned the saws packs earlier on. Yeah, these are going to the McGann's development. Put them on there. Show you this in here. So we get new tools coming in as well, and you'll see this when Sheldon breaks down a carpentry kit for you shortly. We get great support from companies like Ox, who will give us end-of-line brand new tools. So we're sending out quite expensive, good quality tools as well, not just refurbished tools. And you can see in here the sledgehammers we've got going out, and then obviously sash clamps for the carpentry kits, some of the larger circular saws, got welders over there. 110 volt, we send 110 voltage stuff out as well. We've got the converter there for that. Carpentry kits, can never get enough carpentry kits, amazing. And Sheldon will be breaking that down for you a little bit later on. There's our trusty forklift. As you can see already, not a lot of space for the forklift to move around. So we'll get this container in and we'll start shipping the stuff out into the container and then move on from there. So lots of sewing machines as well, and you can see up on the racks here, we've got sewing machines up there. We also send out industrial sewing machines. I didn't mention earlier on, they're really hard working industrial machines. They're quite hard to come by. When they do, we repair them and get them sent out. And you can see we've got manual sewing machines, really essential for areas of no power. This one's going to the McGann's Women in Action group in, what's that? Taranga. Yeah. And you can see as well large items of, so we've got lathes on here, metal lathes, we've got wood lathes, we have large items and equipment, motor mechanics kits. So each motor mechanic kit, they'll get a toolbox for their tools, but they'll get all the items, and you can see, I'll show, yeah, sort of contents you get on a motor mechanics kit. And I say Sheldon will be breaking down a carpentry kit a little bit later on. Stuff. I love this part of it. Just seeing this filling up is just fantastic, and it's all from right from the start, all from our collectors that makes this possible. Okay, now what I'm going to do, if you want to follow me along, it's enough of me. I've pretty much gone through that. What I'll do, just follow me along here. I'm going to introduce you to Sheldon. For those of you who don't know him, Sheldon's going to take up, as you don't have a look at my ugly mug. Sheldon will take you through some refurbishment and also the contents of the carpentry kit. Okay, thank you very much. Over to Sheldon.
Hello, my name is Sheldon. Here we have an unrefurbished plane and a refurbished plane. Now, as you see with this unrefurbished plane really rusty, handles all dried up and broken. To be honest, it's fit for the skip. And here we can also see the iron, it's quite severely rusted. Now this is what it will look like once it's been refurbished. As you see, the handle looks really good. If the handle is broken, we will replace it, or if the wood is dry, we will use boiled linseed oil. And to refurbish it, we use a bench grinder with a wire wheel. And see that lever cap, look how beautiful it looks, new. Here I will show you two different carpentry devices. One unrefurbished, as you see the mechanism is really stiff. Then here we have a beautiful refurbished carpentry device, and again with even bigger. Now I'm going to take apart a carpentry kit for you. Sandpaper, pair of sheet clamps, really good for holding work together. Wooden mallet, tenon saw used for cutting joinery. A beautiful ox level, as Trevor mentioned earlier. Sliding bevel, utility knife and blades, assortment of screwdrivers, Yankee screwdriver, a rasp, keyhole saw, a marking gauge and mortise gauge, pincers, two-sided sharpening stone, assortment of screws and nails, pack of chisels, egg beater hand drill, very useful for if you're out in rural areas with no power, and the drill bits to go with it. Brace with the auger bits, again very useful if you haven't got any electricity. Tool roll, coping saw and spare blades, a beautiful brand new ox hammer, Here we have an awl and a bradawl, cross-pin hammer, pin hammer, bead saw, combination square, and an assortment of sizes of tri-squares, spoke shave, and here we have 3 different sizes of planes. Block plane, very useful for rounding over corners and putting small chamfers. Number 4, smoothing plane, used for smoothing tasks. And here we have the jack plane, very useful for redimensioning stock. And the tape measure. And again, the saw sharpening file.
Well, thank you, Sheldon. And you bear in mind, as we've said, we send out 600 to 700 of these kits every single year, and everyone has exactly the same tools in it. You realise just the enormous work that our volunteers do and our collectors do in collecting all of these. Well, we have time for just a few questions. And the first one that's being asked is a question for you, Sheldon. Why do you include screws and nails in a kit?
We include screws and nails in a carpentry kit in order to help get them started. So it's no good giving them the tools if they haven't got the fixings in order to get started to make money to buy their own.
And another one for you, then a couple for Trevor. What item takes the longest to refurbish, and how long is that?
I would say a hand plane takes the longest to refurbish. On average, it takes around 45 minutes to refurbish a hand plane.
Brilliant, thank you, Sheldon. Now, Trevor, I'm going to step out of the way so we keep our social distancing, so don't worry about me. Do you have to have experience to come and volunteer here or Coventry or any of the other centres, independent or ours?
Absolutely not. All we really want is just the passion and passion to change people's lives. We have people, Tony doesn't mind me mentioning, but we have Tony who runs the sewing machine department. You know, he's a teacher in his life, and we have lots of people, not all just tradespeople. We have people who worked in labs and various different things who all volunteer for us now. So no, that's not a problem at all.
And how many containers in a year would you send?
So we'd aim to send 18 containers. We managed, I think it was mentioned earlier on, we managed to send 12 last year, which was amazing, bearing in mind that we were shut for quite a good period of time. But obviously, as Mike has said and that sort of thing, we're aiming to double that when we can get the Midlands back online. So we're looking at 36 containers a year. But 18 we do here. We're currently being on a slightly slower rate, but after we finish the Congo, which will be quite a long fill, we'll actually then be going back to a 2 and a 3 week cycle, i.e. a container every 2 weeks and then every 3 weeks.
So just to explain that comment, for some of you might not be aware about the Midlands Centre, we currently have a very good workshop in Coventry. And that's open 3 days a week, soon to be open 5 days, very active, does lots of our carpentry kits, but it's quite small, nothing like this. So it can't send containers, it has literally nowhere to put them and no storage facilities. So next year, we're looking to open up a new centre there, bigger than Ipswich, where it can then handle, hopefully, 18 containers. Totally, it will match Ipswich completely within a couple of years. It will have a manager, it will have an apprentice, and then we're looking to have that doubling in size. And the new Northern van, which Trevor mentioned earlier on, that have come down with knitting machines. Now that's part of this huge investment to get more tools from the north of England to help supply the centre. Because I think you can see from looking around here, the number of tools we need to send out all those containers is absolutely staggering. So anything else you want to add? Trevor, can we have a couple of minutes? We've done all the questions that have been asked of us.
Not really, just to say thank you to all our volunteers who make it possible. I can honestly say that since the pandemic, which has been in, pretty much every volunteer has returned. We've got over 80 working just out of this building alone. They've all returned, and just thanks to you guys for being the lifeblood of this organisation. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Well, that's it then for our TWAM Day. We hope next year we'll be able to do it in person, though obviously it's great to continue doing it like this. So wherever you are in the country, you can feel part of the work of TWAM, or in fact, for all our friends in Africa who have joined us. I want to say as we close, a huge thank you to Johnny, our office manager, who's run all of this technically for us. It's incredibly challenging putting all this together, getting the films to work or not work. He's done an amazing job. A huge thank you to Johnny. A thank you to James, our brand new fundraising apprentice, who is our cameraman for the day, straight in at the deep end, as it were. Trevor and Sheldon for this tour, the board for the AGM. And thank you again to all of you, whether you are giving the tools, refurbishing, supporting us financially, or you're the people receiving the tools in Africa and giving purpose to everything we do. We want to say an enormous thank you. And we hope you've enjoyed this time with us, and it will have encouraged you, and you'll have enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed sitting down, planning it, and coming in today to do it live for you. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to meet you all again, either in person or at a national Zoom meeting sometime in the future. Thank you.